What's going on, everybody? It's Frito here for your Overwatch, and I'm excited to bring you one of the most underrated heroes in Season 5, Torb. It's about damn time we covered this hero because a lot of people have been asking us over the course of seasons, and I think the value that he can get is highest now in Season 5. Despite the fact that everyone assumes dive meta is the only thing you can play, Torb offers a very unique utility to a team comp. And that's a combination of a few things that we're going to cover here today. Clips in this video are from myself and Weagle, and we wanted to give a disclaimer that we are not the best Torb players in the world. But after watching how the pros utilize Torb to great effect and playing with a lot of Torb teammates, we wanted to pass that information on to you. He counters dive, you say. Well, why is that? Well, one, any hero that can do a lot of burst damage into the dive tanks. Reaper's very good at this, but Torb's shotgun has to be respected. And its strength makes Torb one of the highest undivable heroes in the entire game. Other heroes can run away, of course, from dive, but he's a type of character that can stand his ground really well. Which means if he's used to protect your backline, he can be very capable of that. But the main reason why Torb works so effectively is because with the two dive tanks being as sick as they are and pretty much meta-defining to the point where most teams run them all the time, the turret goes unshielded most of the time. Characters like Reinhardt or Zarya have barriers that perform a lot better against the turret. D.Va, of course, can dive it herself, but with the other damage sources that you should have on your team comp, the turret can act like either a decoy or a cross-firing mechanism that really punishes the small zippy flanky characters that are so strong in the meta right now. So how does one go about playing Torb really well right now? Well, it's important to know how to put your turret at an annoying angle that sets up a crossfire. The more uncommon the position and defensible it is, the better it will be. You should be trying to set up your turret to be able to shoot the target that's going to be diving your friendlies. And when played that way, it can see amazing effect. Because as whatever character that is diveable on your team, Ana, Zen, Soldier, Hanzo, Widow, whatever, has to peel back to avoid the flankers and dive tanks, the turret is just going off the entire time. And like I said before, if the enemy team have to focus the turret, it buys you time to be able to shoot them in the back while they're shooting the turret. Of course, what do you want to look out for while playing Torb? What actually does counter a turret? Characters like Hanzo, Widowmaker, Junkrat, Soldier, that play from afar and can destroy the turret for free and kind of stabilize their line and aren't necessarily trying to dive, are going to be effective against Torb because his long-range damage is very unreliable, and his turret doesn't get much value if you destroy it efficiently while stabilizing a position on the map. But that requires you to slow down, and in the mobility meta, it can be enough to enable the rest of your team to be able to outposition them while they're taking the time to destroy your turret. And another crucial component of why he's so successful against dive is that armor packs, especially now that he generates them with much more frequency, doesn't have to snowball late into the round, but instead has a more gradual supply of scrap. It could be used to bolster your team's highest dive target. So you got that McCree or that Ana or that Zenyatta, characters that die just about instantly when they're focused and dove. Well, now they have an extra 75 HP. That can sustain them an extra second in a fight, which can oftentimes be the difference between them dying immediately and getting no value versus surviving and stabilizing, which is the most important thing to do on defense. Let's go over a few clips play by play of Torb working especially well, either playing as Torb, playing against him, and synergizing with him. Here with the last push coming in on Hanamura B, Weagle sets up a turret at one of the most annoying angles imaginable. If the enemy team had time to be able to turn around and easily dispose of it, it would not be as effective as it is now. But being as it is, the enemy team have to dive onto the point, and although he does die to the Genji sword, that turret is battling away. Just watch how fast his ultimate builds when the turret's allowed to shoot uncontested for a period of time. Setting up a turret in a position where it can't be easily shot builds so much ultimate. Coming on the respawn, he charges up his ult quite quickly by shooting a spread into the Winston's face, pop Molten Core, and now it's basically over. A Molten Core turret stops pushes in their tracks, so whenever the team fight's committed and you pop Molten Core, it's going to be a nightmare to deal with. Here's another example of my team attempting to play a divey comp against a Torb, but as you can see, even though it looks like we should have man advantage into this fight, my team doesn't really respect the turret nearly enough. We get kills at the start and we needed to sustain this fight and play more disciplined, don't take unnecessary damage, don't play with that W mouse 1 constantly dive playstyle. we had to respect the damage that the enemy team's defense had set up, and because we didn't, our push stalled out and we end up not getting any progress on the point. Especially for a map like Numbani, where your offensive respawns are really long, you have to play very disciplined against the turret or you'll never be able to win a convincing fight on attack. I've played a lot of Horizon lately and played with a lot of Orisa Torb setups playing on the point. This is a very common strategy, and although you can counter it by a few means, it at the very least is very annoying to play against and requires discipline to not fall victim to. Keeping this turret alive and playing safe on the point, waiting for them to engage onto us, the turret creates an ever-present, annoying line of damage per second, and because it's positioned there, I can quite freely defend it as I stave off the mobility characters Pharah and Genji as they try to set up an attack around the turret. Now, eventually, they do slowly surround us and pop a bunch of ults on the point to take the objective, but that's a lot better than this point usually goes if you try to defend in other means, and that's one thing about Torb. It doesn't always work perfectly to the point where you're going to full hold indefinitely, but it does take some time and discipline to punch through, which is oftentimes why pro teams use the Orisa Torb setup. They'll even swap out a Lucio for a Torb instead and play with a single healer, for the same reason that you might swap a Sombra out for that position, and that is, having a character that's strong against being dove stabilizes your backline in a way that other picks just get eaten up. You do of course have to give up something in order to do that, but creating the engagement carefully means that you can forego having the healing that you otherwise would have from that pick slot. This turret spot in the back of point B on Horizon is incredible. Look how impossible it looks for these two tanks to do anything. Granted, we do use Genji Blade here, but we didn't even need it. These tanks stood no chance. It takes a lot of discipline to carefully dislodge these turret setups, which means Torb can be incredibly effective in matchmaking, where it's difficult to find any coordination anyway. But even against organized teams, it really does force them to carefully take out your positioning. It's not unbeatable, but it's definitely strong against the standard dive meta comp that most teams are running. I hope the video was useful to teach you how to utilize the Swedish turret building badass. He really is underrated this season and does a whole lot to stabilize your team on defense. I don't particularly want to see him on attack or King of the Hill, but knowing his strengths and how to play into his strengths, even if you get that one trick Torb, you might be able to better synergize to where their strengths lie so that you can win those matches that you thought were unwinnable. Torb is sick against the meta comp right now, so fear not playing him or playing with him. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like. It does help us out, lets us know that you're enjoying the content. If you haven't already, please hit subscribe because we upload each and every day, so you're going to want to hit the bell icon so that you join the notification squad so that you can know when our videos go live. Linked in the description, you can check out our Discord server where you can find teammates to pair up with, to build turrets that protect your backline for you. That's been it for me. I've been Frito for your Overwatch. I'll see you guys next time.